Good day, everyone. In this video, we are going to be seeing how to perform a unique skill when it comes to handling storage of data in containers. So when a container is stored, usually the data is deleted, and there's not a lot of flexibility around how you can store data in a container. So in terms of space, in terms of number of locations and how you go about it. This is what I mean. Most people will call it ephemeral type of storage because it doesn't last. The moment the container stops, it's deleted. It's not persistent. I think that's a better word for it. So what we are going to be doing is how we can add a volume to our container, and we can use that volume to store data such that when we have data in that volume, in one container, we can also, even if that container gets stopped or is deleted, and we provision another container, and we now use that volume as a location in that container, the data that we had previously that we used in the first container will still be available for use in the second container. So you can think of it like you have a computer, you have an external hard disk. So you connect your external hard disk to your computer, you store some data from your computer to your external hard disk. Then afterward, maybe your operating system crashes, and or maybe your computer got stolen, but you still have your hard disk, so you can always use the data in the hard disk to in your new computer. So I believe the analogy is clear. It's something you are going to have to use very, very often in your containerization journey. So let me share my screen. Yeah, I believe you can see my screen now. So the first thing we need to do is to create our volume. So I want to create a volume. So I think I already have one volume set up. So let me do Docker volume ls to see. I have quite a lot. Okay, so this was the one I created recently. So I think these other volumes were the ones that I created based on what I have here. When I deleted the container and created another container. So what I'll be doing is I want to create a fresh volume. So let me just fetch out the command so that we wouldn't waste so much time in typing. Yeah, so let me give this a unique name. Let me just call it Frank volume, for lack of a better word. So I'm creating a new volume now. So volume, so the way you can think of it like when you have different drives in your computer. Like in my own computer right now, I have and SSD, I have HDD, so you can partition your drives into, you can have C drive, E drive, F drive, G drive, H drive. So it's similar to what we are doing. So I've created one Frank volume. If I should now list the volumes in my computer, you can see the Frank volume is listed. So the next thing we are going to be doing is I want to run the command now to create a container based on, so the container is based on Ubuntu. I'll be using the Ubuntu image to create the container. Let me just paste and explain the commands. Yeah, so what I will be doing is, so I'm running a container docker container run, I am running it in interactive mode and also in the background. So I'm mounting a volume, and this volume, I'm calling it, um, I'll call this volume, the volume that was just created, which is Frank volume, which we have here. Then the target location, so I'll change this instead of higher volume, I'll change this to Frank volume. Then this folder is created by default. Then I want to create a folder in this default folder, and I want to call this folder Frank, or let me call it Frank app. Calling this folder Frank app. Then this is the image I'm using to create the container, Ubuntu. So it's like an Ubuntu environment. I want the container to be based on Ubuntu. Yeah, I believe everything here is clear. So this targets, what I have here is this WSL dot localhost blah 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 is so WSL is the Windows subsystem for Linux, and it's because I am using that to set up my volume. My volume will be in there. So let me run this. Yeah, so it's pulling Ubuntu now from Docker Hub, since it can't find it in my local computer. I think I deleted the last one I had. Yeah, so we have Ubuntu over here. So the next thing I want to do is, so now we have our volume created. We also have our container that is based on Ubuntu. And that container, we've referenced our volume in our container so that we can use the storage in our container. I mean, so that we can use the storage in our volume in our container. We can use persistent storage. We can use the storage in a persistent fashion rather than an ephemeral fashion. So the next thing I want to do is to attach our container. So I can see the ID here. So I will use 553EE. Oh, I think that's fine. Attaching the container. Oh, I forgot to prefix with WinPty because I'm on my Git bash. If I were to be in command prompt, I wouldn't need to enter this. Yeah, so I've gained access into my Ubuntu, the Ubuntu operating system. So now one thing I want to do is let's ls. Yeah. So now we can see this Windows subsystem for Linux .localhost here. So this is where our volume is stored. So I'm storing my volume over here. So it could have been, I could have stored it anywhere in any directory, but I do not want it to, because Ubuntu is closer to the Linux Windows subsystem for Linux. That's the image. So I just chose to use this directory. I could have used any other directory if I wanted to. So I will cd into where the volume was created. So I note that I am still in my container now, in my Ubuntu container. So this is what I'm going to do. So I will cd into this. The only thing I will change is I'll change the volume name. What did I even call? Okay, Frank volume is the name. Change this to Frank volume. And the name of the folder I created inside my volume that I want to do stuff is, I called it Frank app. Frank app. Yeah, so let's even cd into this underscore data. Then now let me list, just confirm, and you can see the Frank app is there. So we can now cd into Frank app. And inside this Frank app, we can now, I want us to create some kind of data. So let me just create a .txt file. Let me use echo and yeah, subscribe to Frankly IO YouTube channel. Yeah, and this is just basic Linux command. We are saving it to frankly.txt. Yeah, so now we have our data stored in this volume now. So what I'm going to do is I want to delete this container. I'll delete the container. So what I will do is let me exit first. Let me exit from this container. Then let me see the running containers Docker PS, right? The running containers. So because I've left the container, it is not listed as a running container. But if I should enter PSA, you will see that it will be listed. You can see 553, and it's the same root as 553 that we have here. So, and it's Ubuntu, blah, blah, blah. So because I have, the container is no longer running, so it's no longer listed here, but I even want to delete the entire container. So I want to delete this entire container. So let me use Docker container remove 553E. Yeah, so the container has been removed. If I should run PSA again, we're not going to see it. Yeah, so the container has been deleted. Now, take note that, recall that I created a .txt file while in the container into my volume. So now I want to create another container. So let me just go, I don't need to type it again. Let me just go straight to this. I want to create another container, daemon mode, interactive. Then I'm mounting that same volume that I created. And based on Ubuntu. Now, this is a totally different container. So let's create it. Let's create it. So this shouldn't take as much time because the Ubuntu image should still be in my computer. Yeah, so it has created it now. So this is the container ID now. So now the next thing I'm going to do is, let me attach to that container. I will attach to it so that I can, let me look for, yeah. So the only thing I will change is the ID, which will now be 065F3. So let's now enter into it. Yeah, so I'm now into the Ubuntu environment, which our container is based on. So what I will do now is, let me cd Okay, so let me just copy it. I will cd into that folder where my volume should be. I am in a new container now. Just take note of that. So let me ls. You can see this volume location is still here. So now let me cd into where the folder we are in. So I need to change the volume name again. I think it's called Frank volume. Frank volume. And the name of this is called Frank app. Frank app. So I think all this is fine. Yeah. So now let's ls, and you will notice that if all things work well, the txt file that we created should still be located here. And you can see the txt file, franklyio.txt. And if I should even try to see the content by using more franklyio.txt, recall that we wrote subscribe to my YouTube channel, and we still have that subscribe to Frankly YouTube channel. So you can see that when it comes to persisting data in containers, the use of volume is very, very key. So you just need to know how to navigate your way around it. Have an environment you want to set up your volume into. I was using the Windows subsystem in Linux. You can use um, any location you want. There should be full paths, should be absolute paths. So if you find this video helpful, don't hesitate to like it, share, and subscribe. So we are going to be having a lot of more videos around containerization in the coming weeks. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too.